Scott and Erdinch for whizzing us through. I can see that probably would be a 3-hour lecture or more, whizzing us through the past and the future of tourism sociology. So really, I think Erdinch grounded us kind of in key literature in sociology, but also how that relates to tourism. So that was quite interesting, grounding us with Canal and John Ury and the like. So that's probably good to remember where we're coming from, who are the fathers of and mothers of our tourism understanding of sociology. Also talked about key themes, and then Scott moved on from that to say, okay, these are the emerging themes. These are the current issues, the current themes. What I liked is that secretly Scott gave us kind of a hint. So if any of these people in the room wanting to publish in annals, which is very much desired by us, so probably the hint, I would say, engage with sociological literature and thinking, and maybe see how your work fits around the themes that are current and currently topical. So for me, for example, I'm excited to see the sociology of work and ethics, which is very much what I'm researching on and publishing on. So there will be a home probably for many people, whether you already work in tourism or not, because interestingly also, I think many people publishing and working in the area of tourism sociology are not necessarily tourism scholars. So this interdisciplinary is super, super important and very much encouraged here. So this is now your time of the audience to let us know what your comments or questions are. So I haven't got any question in the Q&A, but I can see lots of interested faces.
I should have said that, shouldn't I? I think we should have mentioned interdisciplinarity, because I think that it's a very, critical thing at the moment. I think Erdinch mentioned context, but I think also, sort of the location and the context of the research is important. But interdisciplinarity is, a key aspect of what, ISA does, ISA, and also the RC50. So there are people working there in geography, in cultural studies, in development, political economy, political science, alongside core sociologists as well.
Yeah, and bring in psychologists and so on. And it's also interesting that you mentioned kind of co-created, co-design methodologies. I think that is also a huge trend we're seeing, and that makes research to some extent, we're leaving our ivory tower. We're actually engaging with the people. And I think, Scott, you worked a lot with charities. You have been involved a lot on the ground, right?
Yeah, that's right. And in getting people involved in the research process, in helping design the research questions, and leading the research themselves and doing research. I've joked with Alan, he's out walking with his dogs, in the wild, but there is that difficulty with some tourism topics of being able to collect data, about people's experiences when they're in the process of doing it. So there are emerging ways of getting around that and being able to access that through participants' own involvement in the research process.
Absolutely. And I think a couple of people here I recognize in the room have done that sort of work already, or increasingly doing it. So I'm looking at some comments here. So Ellen wrote, really thought-provoking, fascinating, begin to explore blurred boundaries and challenges for these interdisciplinary knowledge questions. And I think that's Ellen, do you wanna expand on that if you're still here?
I can a little bit. I'm sort of like Scott says, I'm sort of in transit. I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you well.
Yeah, I'm now not in a field. I'm now sort of transiting to work. No, I just think it's really interesting. Like if we, looking at sociology and psychology, and also, longer term physiology, and how these are all starting to come together. Particularly in what I'm doing, looking at well-being. I think it's really interesting that now we can start to put all of these pieces together. So I think that's the kind of future as I see it. To look at these boundaries and then create knowledge which is truly interdisciplinary and will stand the test of time. So that was my point really. But now I've got to get going. So thanks very much both.
Thank you very much. Yeah, important topic. So honing in on the power of interdisciplinary, and that's pretty much what ISA does. So as Scott said at the beginning, we are part of a huge network of sociologists. So how many people were at the conference in Melbourne? 3,000 or something like that?
I think it was more than that actually.
Or more than that.
3,000. Yeah.
So we are in a good home here in terms of having that connection and deepening and fostering that connection. So could you say a bit more about that in relation to, you mentioned reclaiming the area of tourism sociology. Okay, could you say a bit more? That's Ilya Simons. Ilya, I can see you here. Do you want to ask a question?
Yes. Well, thank you very much. It was it's the first time I attend this group of people. So I'm also trained as a sociologist, and I feel very much at home now that thinking, I knew there was a whole body of knowledge, but just being surrounded. But you mentioned, Scott, in the end, that it's time to, or there's a need to reclaim. I don't know exactly how you mentioned it, but just wondering, what exactly do you think we should reclaim? The tourism studies from a sociological angle, or just getting people together who are maybe implicitly have this sociological background? I was just triggered by that reclaiming remark.
Yeah, I think that's, from my perspective, from the editorial perspective, Annals of Tourism Research is very much a social sciences journal. So we sort of expect that papers will, explicitly, locate themselves either ideologically or theoretically within a disciplinary perspective. And I think sometimes, you have to work at it to work out that what the paper is about, or the perspective it's coming from is sociology. They refer to social theory sometimes, but not really explicitly grounding within a sort of canon of sociological thought and inquiry, both within the discipline itself of sociology, but also as it's been translated in the tourism world. We've had, sociological thought going back to the 1960s and prior to that, but it's often, I think, there's a dislocation or a disconnection with some of that sort of foundational thinking, and it's something that's playing on my mind at the moment, because we're preparing the 50th anniversary of volume for Annals of Tourism Research in January. So it's sort of where I'm looking back and thinking about it, and noticing also with all of the papers that I deal with on a daily basis, that there seems to be, fewer connections that say that I'm coming from a sociology of tourism perspective. This is where the grounding of this paper is, and you need to sort of do that through the literature research, review process, but also sort of within the positioning and the framing of the paper. So you sometimes have to work at it, to work out, well, actually this is sociology. And I think that because, as Erdich said, the journal is you know, it's classified within the sociology journals. I mean, we published loads of papers on economics and education and organizational behavior and psychology and all the rest of it as well. And so I sort of think sometimes we don't sort of claim enough of what we do is actually sociology. Does that make sense?
Yes, very much, very much. But I think just in the tourism, as tourism scholars, we're kind of so used to, well, have to think interdisciplinary or more, yeah. So, yeah, I sometimes feel a little bit, well, you don't want to limit yourself to, it feels limit yourself to one discipline. So that is, but no, this is very good to just position, to position, yeah, yourself stronger as a sociologist. Thank you.
Thank you. That's brilliant. And Ilya, it was a nice thing that you said you thought you found your home. So this is what we're trying to do actually with having thought up this seminar series, because that's exactly what we thought we should do. Actually say, here's a group of people who are very, very happy to talk about tourism sociology, who explicitly position themselves in that space, and being part of a wider network, showing kind of what we're able to do if we're working together. So please do. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, if I just add, I think that the great thing about RC50 is, you know, from my perspective, I joined as a junior scholar and I was given lots of encouragement from really important, you know, people who were, you know, massively, you know, towering figures at the time, you know, and they in a very small group environment. And I think that that's what RC50 does. It provides a lot of support for early career researchers, you know, within that sort of small group context, to be able to help and support them and to encourage sociological thinking. And
on top of that, it's a fun bunch of people. So we're very, very much open for new members. I posted the link of our website. So if you look at RC50 website, Tourism Sociology, or on the International Sociological Association website, you will find the link. There's a link to membership. So we encourage people to become full members of ISA and RC50, but you can also become an RC50 member only. And we're going to engage more and more with members in the future. So we're kind of reviving our group. We're making us more visible. And we're very, very much open for people to join us on that journey. Just one thing in terms of membership, when you click on it, you will see probably the amount sounds quite chunky initially, but as actually for a 4-year term, the membership. So don't be confused by that. If you break that down per year, it's not more expensive than any other membership. Yeah, so really so thankful for the huge interest we had. We had over 120 people signing up. So I'm going to share, and we had about 30 something in the room. And we're going to share the recording. I think many people signed up to get the recording. Please do engage. Please do share your thoughts about this seminar. Please do show maybe the recording to your students or anyone interested. And please do get in touch with us. Stay in your home area, as Ilya nicely said. Like we're very excited that we met you. Thank you very much. And we are finishing bang on time. Look at that. And thank you so much, Scott and Erdinch. And I just want to say Maxiano is also part of RC50. He's here in the room. And hope I didn't forget anyone. But yeah, we're very much excited to keep engaging with you. Thanks very much, Anke. Thanks, everybody. Nice to see you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.